Hi there, my name is Xander, and this is my Disease of the Day presentation. So I decided to do patient scenario number 32. So the patient's name is Mike. He's a carpenter who has on-the-job knee injury, and that when he was getting that taken care of, they noticed his feet that basically had an infection, literally devouring them. So his symptoms are telltale peeling and scaling of skin in large patches on the soles, redness and cracking between several of his toes, and then thickening and yellowing on his big toenails. The itching part of it drives him crazy. When he does scratch his feet, he does get a sense of pleasure. However, it does not last for long. Does not last for long before agony kicks in, and then it just becomes extremely painful. So that's the thing with powerful itching rashes. They're going to alternate between agony and ecstasy. So I had no clue how to go about this. So I decided to break down the symptoms individually. And so I first focused on the yellowing and thickening on his big toenails, and this actually led me to a fungal infection called Tinea inguinum or onychomycosis, which is a common fungal infection of the nails. So you can get it on your fingernails. However, it is more common though for it to be on your toes. And so the symptoms for this are your nails are going to become discolored, and so they're going to become more white or yellow. They're going to get thicker, they're going to become more brittle, and they're going to lose their shape. Another thing is that they're going to start becoming separated from the nail bed. And throughout this whole entire process, it's going to become very, very smelly. So, while this is completely unfortunate, terrible, unfortunately for Mike, this is not what he has. However, this did kind of keep me down the fungal infection route. So as I was like trying to look over everything down, knowing that hey, it's just only to his feet, that he has redness and cracking between several of his toes, and that his skin is peeling at the soles of his feet, I remembered, hey, he's a carpenter. So he's gonna be wearing probably a very specific type of shoes. So these probably are going to be a pair of shoes that he might be wearing. They're work boots, and so they have a metal toe head. But one thing about these shoes is while they do protect your feet, they don't ventilate at all. So it's going to get very gross, very sweaty, very damp, and they're not going to dry out until basically you remove your feet from their shoe. And so this kind of made me look at it like some more, like I was doing some more research, and then I got to this type of fungal infection called tinea pedis, or otherwise known as athlete's foot. So, here are some of the other symptoms, so you can see how raw, how red, how vulnerable, how like painful it can get for like the cracking of the toes, the blisters, the discoloration of the toes. It's not pleasant. So, athlete's foot, it's part of a group called mycosis, called tinnitus, and this is what the textbook labeled it as, and it's from a group called of uh, dermat dermophilites. And so, this is a very common fungal infection. So, it starts between the toes, and it can affect just one foot, or it can affect both. And then the common symptoms are blisters, burning and stinging, flame skin, or scaling, peeling, or cracked skin between the toes. And so this is caused by Tritropsin rubrin or T. rubrin. So these are two different types of fungus, the dermophytic and the athrophilic. So the dermophytic, it's a very superficial fungus. And so it's only going to be skin deep. While the anthrophilic, that's going to be a fungus that primarily only infects humans. And this is one of the most common infections in the world. So the morphologically for it is that it's overlapping characters. This is a huge family, so they're going to overlap a lot. And then the culture surface texture for this is going to be very suede-like, kind of looks very soft almost. Then the pigmentation for it, culture pigmentation for it, it's going to be white, white cream to red. And then the reverse culture pigmentation is going to be anything from like colorless, yellow white, yellow red, yellow brown. So actually, this is an example of that color pigmentation. And then the shape of the mitochondria is going to vary from clavate to pyriform. And since it is dermophytic, it's going to grow where dermophytic molds are, which leads me to the causation. So for damp socks or shoes, it's going to absolutely love that. Same with warm, humid environment. And the book also notes that they grow very well in the dark. And so how you can spread it is through contact through an infected person. You can contact from contaminated surfaces like towels, shoes, floors, so like a shower floor, public pool. Then you can also spread that infection from your foot to your rest of your body by picking at the infected parts on your feet. So the prevention for athlete's foot is letting your feet air out, washing them, changing your socks and shoes constantly, and then protecting your feet in public spaces. So again, wearing your shoes when you're at like a public pool. To diagnose athlete's foot, there's three types of tests. First one is fungal culture, where you're looking at the causation of it. The skin lesion potassium hydroxide exam, that will destroy all the non-fungal cells in that little sample. And then the last one, which is also my least favorite, is going to be the skin lesion biopsy. And this one is where you have to use local anesthetic, basically numb the area and then scrape off the infected part. So it's not my favorite. And then there's the treatment. So one of the most common ways to treat athlete's foot is through tropical antifungal medications that patients should apply twice a day. And then hopefully with this treatment, that an athlete's foot can be eradicated within 4 weeks. Though patients should note that they can get reinfected, so they need to make sure that they're on top of keeping their feet safe. So, hopefully now Mike knows what he needs to do, how to keep his feet safe, and I hope you guys learned a little bit more about athlete's foot. Okay. Then here are my sources. Okay. Hi.